On July 25, 2025, the boxing world stood still as news broke of the passing of Dwight Muhammad Qawi, a warrior whose journey from the depths of a prison cell to the pinnacle of world championship glory captivated and inspired millions. Known as the Camden Buzzsaw, Qawi died at 72, leaving behind a legacy of grit, redemption, and unrelenting heart. His sister, Wanda King, confirmed the loss to the Associated Press. A somber announcement echoed across X by fans like at Boxing Legacy, who called him a fighter who defied every odd, and boxing historian at Fight Chronicles, who dubbed him a legend of resilience. Born Dwight Braxton in Baltimore, Maryland, Qawi rose from a troubled youth in Camden, New Jersey, to become a two-division world champion, holding the WBC light heavyweight title from 1981 to 1983 and the WBA cruiserweight title from 1985 to 1986. His ferocious Joe Frazier-inspired style and indomitable spirit earned him a 2004 induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. From Rahway State Prison to the bright lights of Atlantic City, Qawi's life was a powerful testament to second chances. Today, we dive deeply into Dwight Muhammad Qawi's cause of death, age, family, net worth, lifestyle, and biography, honoring a man whose fists forged history and whose heart uplifted a community. Dwight Braxton was born on January 5, 1953, in Baltimore, Maryland, into a working-class family where survival often demanded tough choices. Raised in Camden, New Jersey, a city scarred by poverty and crime, Dwight's early years were turbulent. His sister Wanda King, in a 2025 CBS 8 interview, described him as a loving but wild child, drawn to the streets despite his family's efforts to keep him grounded. One of 5 siblings, Dwight grew up in a tight-knit but struggling household, with his mother working long hours to provide. By 12, he was entangled in juvenile detention for petty crimes, a path that led to a devastating armed robbery conviction at 19. Sentenced to nearly 5 years in Rahway State Prison, Dwight found himself at a crossroads. It was in Rahway's gritty boxing program under the guidance of light heavyweight contender James Scott that he discovered his calling. As Qawi later shared in a 2022 Max Boxing interview, "Prison was my rock bottom, but boxing was my ladder out." Released in 1978, at 25, he walked out of Rahway with a fire to rebuild his life. Heading to Joe Frazier's Philadelphia gym, where he trained alongside battle-hardened fighters like Benny Briscoe and Willie the Worm Monroe. With no amateur experience and just a month of training, Qawi turned professional in April 1978, stepping into the ring with a chip on his shoulder and a hunger to prove himself. His early fights were a baptism by fire. He went 1-1 in his first 3 bouts, drawing in his debut, losing to undefeated Johnny Davis and scraping by with a win. But Qawi's relentless work ethic and raw power turned heads. He reeled off 14 consecutive victories, earning a shot at the WBC light heavyweight title. On September 5, 1981, in a poetic twist, he returned to Rahway State Prison to face James Scott, the man who sparked his passion for boxing. Qawi dominated, winning a unanimous 10-round decision, a victory that set up a title fight against Matthew Saad Muhammad, a future Hall of Famer known for his epic wars. On December 19, 1981, in Atlantic City, the 5 feet 7 inches Qawi, dwarfed by the 6'1" Saad, unleashed a masterclass of pressure and precision, stopping him in the 10th round to claim the WBC light heavyweight title. In 1982, after converting to Islam and adopting the name Dwight Muhammad Qawi, he faced Saad again, stopping him in 6 rounds of performance. ESPN called a clinic in controlled aggression in a 2025 retrospective. Qawi's reign as light heavyweight champion was electric. He defended his title 3 times, knocking out Jerry Martin, Saad Muhammad in their rematch, and Eddie Davis with devastating efficiency. His crouching bob-and weave style, honed under Frazier's tutelage, made him a nightmare for taller opponents, earning him the nickname the Camden Buzzsaw. But on March 18, 1983, he faced Michael Spinks in a unification bout for the WBA title. The 175-pound weight limit took a toll. Qawi lost a hard-fought unanimous decision to the taller, faster Spinks, who later became heavyweight champion. Undaunted, Qawi moved to the newly created cruiserweight division, where he could compete without grueling weight cuts. On July 7, 1985, he traveled to Sun City, South Africa, to challenge WBA cruiserweight champion Pit Krause in a hostile environment. Qawi's relentless pressure overwhelmed Krause, securing an 11th round knockout and his second world title. He defended it against former heavyweight champion Leon Spinks, dominating with a unanimous decision before facing a young Evander Holyfield on July 12, 1986, in Atlanta. The 15-round war, one of boxing's great battles, saw Holyfield win. A razor-thin split decision of Fight Ring magazine later called a classic of heart and skill. Qawi's career didn't end with the Holyfield loss. He rematched Holyfield in 1987, losing via fourth-round stoppage, but continued fighting. Facing legends like George Foreman in 1988 and Robert Daniels in 1991. He retired in 1998 with a record of 41 wins, 11 losses, 1 draw, and 25 knockouts. Having fought 9 world champions across 9 title bouts, his 2004 induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame celebrated a career defined by courage and tenacity. Qawi's influence extended beyond his record. He inspired fighters like Holyfield, who told Sports Illustrated in 1990, "Qawi's pressure made me better. He forced me to dig deeper." Qawi's fights were spectacles of heart, his small stature belying a giant spirit. Even in defeat, he earned respect, with Boxing News noting in 2025 that Qawi's losses were as heroic as his wins. Qawi's personal life was a quieter battleground. Details are sparse, but his sister Wanda King was a pillar, supporting him through his career and mourning his loss in 2025. As reported by WKYC, a 2019 celeb net worth claim linking him to singer Toni Braxton as a sister remains unverified, with no support from credible sources like Wikipedia or ESPN. Qawi was single at his death with no documented marriages or children. Per Celeb Zagwi, his 1982 conversion to Islam, inspired by Muhammad Ali, gave him discipline and a new identity. He spoke candidly about his past, telling Max Boxing in 2022, "I wasn't proud of my mistakes, but I made something of my life." Qawi faced the stigma of his criminal record, but used it to connect with others, mentoring youth in Camden. Faith and community ties anchored him. Though fame brought challenges, he avoided the pitfalls of excess, focusing on boxing and later helping others rebuild their lives. Qawi's lifestyle was rooted in modesty, his net worth estimated at $1 million to $5 million by Forbes. Waikilogy and Penn Book Center came from fight purses, sponsorships, and post-retirement work. Title bouts against Saad Muhammad Spinks and Holyfield earned significant sums. But financial struggles followed retirement. As Penn Book Center noted in 2024, Qawi lives simply in New Jersey, working as a boxing trainer and counselor at the Lighthouse, a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center in Mays Landing. Starting in 1998, his work with recovering addicts and at-risk youth, detailed in a 2025 ESPN tribute, reflected his belief in second chances. Qawi drove practical cars, lived in a modest home, and shunned extravagance, pouring his energy into community service. He trained young boxers, passing on his Frazier-inspired techniques, and spoke at local events, sharing his journey from prison to champion. His love for jazz and soul music, often playing Miles Davis records, offered a glimpse into his quieter moments, he told Boxing News in 2015. Health challenges shadowed Qawi's later years. In 2025, Wanda King told WTSP he had battled dementia for 5 years, a heartbreaking contrast to the mental acuity that defined his ring strategy. Despite this, Qawi remained engaged, attending boxing events when possible. As fans shared on X, on July 25, 2025, he passed away in Camden, surrounded by family at 72. Per ESPN and CBS 8, the cause, likely linked to his dementia, was not detailed. But the boxing world grieved deeply. Tributes flooded X, with that fight fanatic writing, "Qawi proved you can rise above anything." His Hall of Fame plaque, honoring a career against 9 world champions, stands as a monument to his grit. Qawi's legacy lives in the fighters he inspired and the lives he touched through his work at the lighthouse. Dwight Muhammad Qawi's life was a saga of redemption. From Camden's rough streets to Rahway's prison ring to world title glory, he forged a path of courage. His battles against Saad Muhammad, Spinks, and Holyfield are boxing lore, showcasing a 5'7" titan.